Hello, my name is Jeanette McCarter with Housing Problem Solvers Company. Housing Problem Solvers Company assists people with bad credit, criminal background, evictions, bankruptcies, criminal history, housing vouchers, with locating housing, locating apartment homes or condo. We are an Atlanta, Georgia based company. We've been in business since 2012. This is basically all we do. Now, today I want to discuss with you the eviction process. What happens during that process? What are some of the things you need to do and you need to understand when you're getting evicted? The eviction process all starts with the lease agreement. What are the terms and conditions you've agreed to with that property manager while you're staying in that particular property? Now, if there's any conflict or you get behind, then you need to understand the terms and conditions in that lease agreement. Okay? If you and the property manager are not getting along, again, you need to go back to that lease agreement, read the lease agreement, read what the terms and conditions are. Now, if you and the property manager are having conflict for whatever reason, then typically they will give you what is a demand letter, either a 5-day notice or a 3-day notice, some written notice stating that you're in violation of that lease agreement, and they'll give you typically a certain amount of time to fix or cure whatever that problem is. Now, if that doesn't happen, then what happens is the property manager or landlord goes to the local magistrate court or small claims court and files a lawsuit against you, which is an eviction. Once they file that eviction against you, then they have to go to the sheriff or marshal's office, and then they pay them to come out and serve you. They can also have what is called a process server serve you as well. A process server is not law enforcement. A process server is an independent party authorized by the court to serve lawsuits. So you can be served by law enforcement or you can be served by a process server. They come to the property, they may knock on the door and hand you the eviction notice or lawsuit, or they tack it on the door. Once you see that, then on that lawsuit it's going to tell you how much time you have to respond, where you go to respond, things of that nature. With a typical eviction notice or lawsuit, you typically have about 7 days to respond back to that lawsuit or to respond to the court. And anytime you get a document or a lawsuit from the court, you have to respond to the court. You can talk to the landlord or property manager. However, the court's involved now, and you have to respond back to the court. And you have to respond back to the court within that 7-day period. Okay? Now, when you respond, your response is called either your response is called an answer, or if you're seeking money damages from the other side, you're filing an answer and counterclaim. Okay, so you file an answer telling your side, and you can file an answer and counterclaim which tells your side and also asks for money damages from the other party. And again, you have to file that answer or answer and counterclaim within the duration of time specified on that eviction notice. Okay? Now, once you go into the court and file your answer or answer and counterclaim, then what happens is you're given a court date. Now, you must appear in court. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. You must appear in court. You want to appear in court to tell your side of the story, what happened with regards to you living at that property. You want to also see if you can get money damages for whatever problems that had occurred. And also, you want to minimize the amount of money that the other side gets. Now, for example, let's say you're 6 months into a 12-month lease agreement and you can't pay for, due to employment loss or some other reason why you have to get out of that lease at that time, right? What typically happens is the judge will only order you to pay up until the time that he's ordered you out. So if you're 2 months behind, you'll pay the 2 months up until the date that order is issued. That's what you're required to pay. You won't be typically required to pay the whole 12 months because you've shown up. So it's always good to appear. I know it can be intimidating to people, but you must appear in court and just tell your side of the story to the judge. Now, if you and the property manager or landlord can't work things out prior to going to court, or once you get to court, then what happens is the judge will say, okay, I'm going to give you a certain amount of time to leave the property. Typically, that's 7 days they give you to leave the property, to move all your stuff out of that property in 7 days. Okay? Now, if you're still there after the 7 days, then the property manager or owner will go back to the court and get what is called a writ of possession. A writ of possession now gives them the legal authority to remove you from that property. However, they can't just get movers and come and knock on the door and throw you out, though. They have to have either a sheriff or marshal there the day that they're removing you from the property. Okay? Now, once they have that writ of possession, they have to go to the sheriff or marshal's office, get on the schedule, right, for them to come out and remove you from the property, because you're typically not the only person being evicted. So they have to do things. They have to get on the schedule. They have to get on the schedule in order to remove you. So then on that scheduled date, the marshal will come out, the property manager will come out, and the property manager's movers will come out to remove you from that property. Okay? If you're staying over, I recommend that you start moving your stuff out. Either rent a storage unit from public storage or someplace like that, or get a rental truck and start moving your stuff into the rental truck, or just start to get your property get your stuff out of that property. You really need to start getting your stuff out of that property if you've gone beyond that 7-day window. You got to get your stuff out of there. Now, you can stay in the property until they come to set you out, right? And at that point, all that happens is you collect the small belongings and then you get out of the property. The property owner will then have the locks changed, and then you'll no longer have the authority to show up on that property. Okay, so that situation is done. If you come back, you're trespassing, but you have no reason to come back because all your stuff is gone and you're out of there anyway. Okay, now, finding housing after eviction is not going to be easy. So what happens is, if you are going in and applying at other apartments, a lot of times you're going to get denied because that eviction is there. And what happens with the eviction process, in terms of the reporting, it typically takes about 30 days for it to hit your credit report. However, there are other organizations out there that collects that eviction filing immediately, and they're reporting that to most of the big property management companies. So when you go and apply for another apartment or something like that, then they already know that you've been evicted. So when they run your credit and background, that eviction is probably going to pop up, even if it hasn't hit your credit report. You typically can find housing someplace else, but you're probably going to get hit with a larger deposit. So there is life after eviction. You will recover. It's an unfortunate situation, but you will recover. I hope this video has helped you understand that process and how to navigate it. My name is Jeanette McCarter. Good luck to you, and thank you for watching.